Another day of violence in France. A policewoman has been killed in a new shooting south of Paris. There are now also reports of an explosion near Lyon in the east. Witnesses say a man wearing a bulletproof vest opened fire on police officers with an automatic rifle. An officer succumbed to her injuries, while a municipality worker was seriously injured in the capital. Officials say the attacker is at large. Authorities also say it's too early to draw any connection between Thursday's shooting and the deadly Wednesday attack on the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo in Paris. Meanwhile, an explosion has been reported in a small town north of Lyon in the east. No injuries have been reported there, but the area has been cordoned off by police and firefighters. Officials say they've recorded several attacks on mosques since the Wednesday shootings. Well, for more on this developing story, let's talk to Press TV's Anna Sabroya, correspondent in Paris. Anna, what more can you tell us about this story?
Well, there are two parts to this particular story. One, that the policewoman who was killed today was killed not far from where she was working. Now, she was dealing with traffic and she received a call saying that a car accident had taken place, and then she was shot from behind. What eyewitnesses have been reportedly saying is that they saw the person go towards Paris. Now, this attack took place in a southern suburb of the French capital. What other reports are also showing is that several attacks have been perpetrated against mosques, primarily by people who are armed. And these are automatic arms. What is not clear is who these attackers actually are, what their identity is. In both these cases, be it the attacks on the police person or be it the attacks on the mosques and prayer halls, we are seeing a spate of attacks which appear to be tit for tat. But it is no one who is claiming responsibility for these attacks which have been perpetrated on the day of Thursday.
And of course, the attacks on several mosques in France, I mean, how much is it related to this shooting incident, and are there fears of any revenge attacks on Muslims?
On the day of Wednesday, when there was a massive gathering at Place de la République, the Republic Square in the French capital, one person came up with a copy of the Quran and started burning it in front of the protesters who were gathering in support of Charlie Hebdo. And he was shooed away. He was shown the way out of the gathering. Most of the gatherers told him to go away because they said there was no place for extremists in a gathering like that. But at the same time, we are also reading reports and hearing reports in the French media which say that there have been attacks on mosques. It appears it is a tit-for-tat for attacks that have been taking place against the Charlie Hebdo, but we are also seeing a series of attacks which have been carried out all over France over the past few weeks. In most cases, the perpetrators have wrongly used the religious code of Allahu Akbar, claiming that they are taking vengeance for attacks on Islam, but at the same time, there have been calls for peace. So there are a lot of claims and counterclaims, and nothing has been confirmed at the minute. But what we are seeing is a series of attacks which, at the first vision, might appear as tit-for-tat, but at the same time, it is yet to be confirmed who exactly is carrying out these attacks.
And of course, what has been the official line of the government? Has there been any statement released by the government?
The government has decided not to play divide and rule. The French president was quick to say that this was an attack against France. People who have been taking part in demonstrations against these attacks, they say that there is no place for extremist views in this country. And the official line here in France is that until and unless these attackers and their identities and their motivations are officially confirmed, it is too early to jump to conclusions. What we are seeing is that these attackers, some of them have claimed to be acting in the name of Islam, but at the same time, when we hear Muslims, be it ordinary Muslims here in France, or be it spokespersons, or be it imams here in France, or religious authorities of the Islamic faith here in France, all of them are claiming that these attackers, they are not speaking on behalf of the wider majority of Muslims here in France. So it looks like although these attacks are taking place in France and there are attacks and counterattacks, at the same time it is still too early to jump to conclusions. And at the same time, the official line here is let the investigators do their job, and only then some conclusions can be attained.
All right, we'll leave it there for the time being. Impressive is Anna Roy giving us the latest from Paris. Thanks, Anna.